we have seen all the car launches for the 2024 F1 teams, and that means it's time to rank the liveries in a tier list. So, there was a bit of a running theme with the liveries this year, and that was Fibre. And honestly, I am very disappointed in the F1 teams. I miss the days of 2019 when every car had its own color and could easily be differentiated off the start line. 2024, however, it's going to be a very, very black grid. So we'll see how it goes. I do like that there are different colors this year, particularly one team that I'll get to later, but I don't know. Overall, just very disappointed, and I really hope that the FIA introduces some sort of carbon fiber rule about it. It's kind of tough because I think if they were to do it by weighing how much paint is on it, there's no way that you can really weigh that race to race. So my thought is maybe just specifying what areas of the car have to be painted. And then you can kind of go carbon fiber outside of those areas or paint more than those areas. But like the front wing, the nose, side pods, engine cover all have to be painted, I think would be how I would go about it. All right, so looking at these liveries, the first one they have is the Haas, and that's going right in I'm bored. It looks nearly identical to their car in 2023, and honestly, I don't understand why Haas hasn't just gone in a completely wild direction with their car livery. They don't really have any reason to stick to a very boring red, white, and black livery, apart from maybe the MoneyGram sponsorship, I guess. But I don't know, just like bring back the Rich Energy livery. Like that one was nice. I like the black and gold, but I don't know, it's not giving anything, and for a team that's supposed to be the American team, you would think that they would lean more into that, but I don't know. Haas's marketing has always been poor. So they need to figure that out because it's not helping them in any way to have a boring car every year. Next up is the Aston Martin livery, and it is going in work of art. It's not quite as good as the livery in 2023, obviously, because they stripped even more paint off of it, but I just love that color combination, and it's a unique color. The super bright green as accents is really nice. They are a bit more painted than other cars, but yeah, just a very gorgeous car. Honestly, a big thing for me, I think, with this car is the fact that they have the glossy paint. I always like the cars a lot more when they have glossy paint, and this is one of them. It just really seems to shine, and that green just gives it a lot of depth to the livery, and I really like that color. Next up is the Ferrari, and it's going into work of art as well, ahead of the Aston Martin. Honestly, I might be biased because red is my favorite color, and so I'm just automatically gonna like the Ferrari more than other cars. But I really like what they did with the car this year. I like that they removed those kind of black cutouts from their livery in 2023. I like the retro look of it with the lines of yellow and white on it. I like that they still have Ferrari on the back wing. And they did add a little bit more of carbon fiber to it this year as well, but I can never hate a red car. And it's really true what they say, that if you tell a child to draw a car, he'll color it red. I was destined to be a Ferrari fan. Next up is the Alpine. And I am so conflicted about this livery because the parts that are colored on it, I actually really like. I think the fact that they went with a lighter blue and a lighter pink was smart because it would make it blend better. But the fact that there is barely any paint on it, because it's all carbon fiber, is so infuriating, and especially since they had hyped up this car with those pink camo rear wing and the pink camo front wing, and they just completely let all of the fans down. We want a pink car because that would be a different color on this grid. There are too many blue cars. And I'm guessing that what they were going for was like, oh, it's camouflaged, you can't see it right now. And that was kind of the angle they were going. But then the fact that the livery was so disappointing, I think it just completely backfired for them PR-wise. So yeah, it's a bummer. I think if this car was painted more, I would actually really like it, but it's the principle of this car that really makes me angry, and so that's why I'm putting it in bin it. I think on its own, if every other car on the grid were completely colored and this was what Alpine came out with, I think I would like it. I would probably put it in fresh. But yeah, it's just like, this car represents what is wrong with where F1 is heading in terms of liveries, and that's why it's going in bin it. Next up is the V-carb. I'm never gonna get used to that. Ugh, I really hope that a fan comes up with a better name for it, because it's infuriating to call it that. But I initially was gonna throw this in fresh, but then I saw Daniel driving this car on a test day, and it just shines in the sun. It's so gorgeous, and ugh, I'm actually a really big fan of it now, so I'm putting it in work of art. I think behind the Aston Martin though. I think the white lines still bug me a little bit. Not so much the one on the front wing, but the one on the back. I feel like it's just out of place and it kind of ruins the flow of the car, but just that color, the fact that they went back to the old Toro Rosso colors, just, oh, it's gorgeous. I love it. And yeah, I'm really excited that they've gone for that color palette, and I think this is a different blue than the other cars on the grid, so I think it will still stand out. Next up is the McLaren, and I'm throwing it in fresh. I really like that they removed the blue that they'd had on the previous cars. It just didn't work for me, and it just wasn't the vibe. I love that they've just gone with orange and black. Honestly, I think I liked kind of the orange, black, and white car that they had in 2023 for the Silverstone race, but was it the Silverstone race? Or maybe it was Monaco. No, it was Monaco. I really like that livery, but I think this is an improvement over their past 2 years of cars. I think they were smart to get rid of that blue for sure. Next up is the Red Bull, and it is also going in I'm bored. Not because it's ugly. I think it has been kept the same year after year for a reason, and it's because it is a very nice livery. But I just wish that Red Bull would change it up a little bit. Like, they're literally just copy pasting. And we'll see with the next car on this list here is that I think what they could do is keep all of the same elements on it, but just move them around, try different colors in different places, and just play with it just a little bit. Because that is what Mercedes does. And Mercedes is my favorite car this year because they've taken the black that they've become known for and their old history of the silver arrows, as well as that Petronas green, and combined it in a different way. And so it still has the brand recognition of the Mercedes, but it's a unique livery every year. And so I really, really like this car, especially the side angle. I feel like that's kind of a bit of a take, but I think it looks like a silver arrow shooting through the air. And I think that's really smart and it looks great. The front angle, I'm not as in love with, but I think you will be able to tell what car it is, which is important. And yeah, I really like this car. Which is surprising, because I'm usually not the biggest Mercedes fan, and especially last year I was kind of lower on their livery than most people, but this year I really like what they've done with it. I think it's a great combination of all of the liveries that they've kind of had while Lewis has been there, and so I think it's a good way to send him off with having a combination of the silver and black in the livery. Next up is the Steak car, and it is also going in fresh. I think it's going behind the McLaren. I love that they picked a super electric green. I think it's going to stand out on track. You are going to be able to tell what car that is. And so that's the most important thing for me. I think they could have designed it a little bit better. I can kind of see that they're going for a bit of like a lightning bolt kind of shape at the back, because even though it's a lot of carbon fiber on this one as well, at least we can differentiate it from the other cars. And finally, we have the Williams, and I think I'm gonna throw it in I'm bored. I like some elements of this car, especially the Duracell battery, but that was obviously something they carried over from last year. But I don't know, I think the blue isn't bright enough for me, I think. And I don't know, I think it's just, yeah, like I said, I think I'm just bored. I think it's just a little bit boring. I like some elements of it with the red piping. I think that's really nice, and I don't know, I think it just doesn't stand out compared to all the other ones. I think it's just there. I liked kind of the stuff that they did when George was at Williams with the kind of white and the patterned and colors into it. I also kind of miss them putting like the yellow in it, because yellow is a color that's missing from the grid, I guess apart from the piping on the Ferrari this year. But oh, I guess the Red Bull also has yellow on it, but just very minimal amounts. So I think if Williams went more into the yellow range, I think that would make their car stand out a little bit more. So, because it seems like a lot of cars are blue and red as a color scheme, and so I think if they went a different direction, I think it would be good. That is my ranking of the liveries. The Mercedes is definitely my favorite, but the Ferrari is pretty close behind, honestly. Tell me what you think about the liveries in the comments down below. Do you think the FIA should introduce a rule that mandates a certain amount of the car to be painted? Or are you fine with all of the cars being entirely carbon fiber in 2025? Because that's where we're headed. I've got a lot of things coming up. Testing is this week. Drive to Survive is coming up, so expect a lot of content from me about that. And then we're only a short ways away from the first race of the year. I'm so excited. I've missed F1 so much. See you all later.